being the king of pop and the biggest recording star in the world, what is your philosophy of staying at the top?
Well, I think being humble and believing in yourself and having true love in your heart.
And even here in Australia, how do you cope with the hysteria?
I know it's all love, so it makes my heart...
Michael Jackson, the king of pop, mysteriously vanished from the public eye after his shocking death in 2009. But now, the unthinkable has happened. Rumors are circulating that Michael has reappeared. What could this mean? How could the most famous pop star ever be alive after all these years? Could his sudden reappearance be connected to dark secrets from his past? Or is there something much bigger at play? Michael's childhood and rise to fame? Michael Jackson didn't have a normal childhood. From a young age, his life was full of pressure and strict rules. Growing up in Gary, Indiana, Michael's father, Joe Jackson, was rigorous and pushed his kids hard. Joe didn't allow mistakes and didn't hesitate to use discipline. Michael and his brothers had to practice for hours, and any mistakes were met with harsh punishment. The pressure on Michael started when he was very young and grew as he got older. Despite all the pressure, Michael's talent stood out. By age 5, he was already leading the Jackson 5, a group he formed with his older brothers. It was clear to anyone who watched him perform that Michael was exceptional. His voice, his dance moves, he had it all. The group started performing at local talent shows and quickly gained attention. Even at such a young age, Michael was already becoming the star. At home, while Joe was focused on perfection, Michael's mother, Katherine Jackson, provided the love and support that balanced things out. She was kind and caring, the soft side of a strict household. Michael was close to her and often turned to her for comfort when things got tough. Katherine had dreams of being a singer, but had given them up to focus on raising her family. Though her love helped, it couldn't fully shield Michael from the intense pressure he was under, especially from his father. Life in the Jackson home wasn't just about music and rehearsals. There were moments of sadness too. One of the hardest for Michael was the death of his baby brother, Brandon Jackson, shortly after he was born. Though Michael didn't talk about it much, it was a heartbreaking loss for the family. As the Jackson 5 gained attention, their performances started to get bigger. In 1967, they had their first breakthrough when they performed at the Apollo Theater in Harlem, New York. The Apollo was famous for launching the careers of major stars, and the crowd loved them. It became clear that Michael and his brothers were on their way to something big. Soon after, they caught the attention of Motown Records, one of the biggest music labels. Signing with Motown was a life-changing moment for the family. They packed up and moved to Los Angeles, leaving behind their small home in Gary. Suddenly, they were inside the music industry. With this move came even more pressure, especially for Michael. He was the lead singer, and the world was starting to expect perfection from him. The group quickly released hits like I Want You Back and ABC, and Michael became a sensation. His performances were electric, and the public couldn't get enough of him. But behind all the success, Michael was facing incredible pressure. He was still a child, but he was expected to perform professionally. The demands from his father, the music industry, and the fans were never-ending. The pressure to be perfect was always there, and it was a heavy burden for someone so young. As Michael's career rose, the cracks in his childhood began to show. The need to be perfect, the constant demands, and the isolation of fame were starting to take their toll. Even though he was achieving incredible success, it's hard not to wonder how much pressure affected him, the struggle for freedom and the solo journey. Even as Michael Jackson's fame skyrocketed, he wished for more control over his career. By the 1970s, the Jackson 5 had become a household name. But behind the scenes, the group felt trapped under Motown's strict rules. The constant touring, lack of creative freedom, and strict control started to wear on Michael. The fame was there, but something was missing. Michael wanted to take charge of his destiny. In 1975, the Jackson 5 made a bold move and left Motown. They signed with Epic Records and rebranded themselves as the Jacksons. For Michael, this wasn't just a change in record labels. It marked the beginning of a new chapter in his career. He became the lead songwriter for the group, a role that allowed him to express more of his creativity. Songs like Shake Your Body Down to the Ground and Can You Feel It showed that Michael was taking more artistic control, pushing boundaries, and exploring new musical ideas. But for Michael, his ambitions didn't stop with the Jacksons. He was ready to step out on his own. He started his solo career, and it took off quickly. Albums like Got to Be There and Ben were successful, but it was his 1979 album, Off the Wall, that marked his breakout as a solo star. With hits like Don't Stop Till You Get Enough and Rock With You, Michael showed he wasn't just part of the group. He was a powerful talent. However, the real game changer came in 1982 with the release of Thriller. This album wasn't just successful, it was a cultural phenomenon. With hits like Billie Jean, Beat It, and Thriller, Michael wasn't just a star, he was the biggest pop sensation in the world. The music videos, especially the iconic Thriller video, revolutionized the industry and cemented his status as a global icon. He wasn't just breaking records, he was setting new ones. But with all this success came an unexpected cost. As Michael's fame reached new heights, the pressures of being in the spotlight began to take a toll. The media's fascination with his personal life grew, and rumors about his appearance, health, and private world swirled constantly. As his fame exploded, Michael started to hide from the public eye, craving more privacy and distance from the constant scrutiny. In response to this overwhelming pressure, Michael created Neverland Ranch, a secluded magical place where he could escape. Neverland became his oasis, far from the public eye, where he could live peacefully. But even with this refuge, the pressures didn't entirely go away. The more famous he became, the more isolated he felt. His fame was like a double-edged sword. While it made him a legend, it also took away his privacy and peace of mind. Michael's rise to fame was fast, but its weight started to take a toll. He began isolating himself at Neverland, pulling away from the public eye. Despite all his success, it was clear something more profound was happening. The constant pressure and demands on him might have shaped his decisions later in life. Did the stress of fame push Michael too far, leading to his mysterious disappearance? Was his need for freedom what made him step away from the spotlight? The mysterious changes. By the mid-1980s, Michael Jackson was more than just the king of pop. He was the most recognizable person on the planet. His influence extended beyond music, shaping fashion, dance, and culture worldwide. But with that fame came an intense spotlight on his personal life, especially his changing appearance. Once a medium brown, Michael's skin began to lighten noticeably, which sparked endless rumors. People speculated he was bleaching his skin, ashamed of his heritage, or even trying to become someone else. Michael was dealing with a skin condition called vitiligo, which causes loss of skin color. He couldn't control it, but the media didn't focus on the truth. Instead, tabloids spread rumors about his appearance. Despite Michael trying to explain his condition in interviews, his efforts were overshadowed by all the gossip and sensational stories. People were even more curious about the changes in Michael's face. He had multiple nose surgeries, and as he grew thinner, the rumors kept increasing. Instead of focusing on his music, the public became obsessed with his appearance. Every time he appeared in public, his appearance was what everyone talked about. Over time, this overshadowed his incredible achievements and talent. Instead of celebrating his work, the conversation shifted to his changing looks, making his personal life and appearance the main topic, while his musical success was pushed to the background. All the attention on his looks started to take a toll on Michael. As the media obsessed with his appearance, he pulled away from the public eye. He began spending more time at Neverland Ranch, which wasn't just his home. It was a magical retreat with an amusement park and zoo where he could escape the pressures of fame. Neverland gave him peace, but people found him more mysterious as he distanced himself. The more he stayed out of the spotlight, the more curious the world became about his private life. In 1986, things took an even stranger turn. A bizarre rumor emerged that Michael was sleeping in a hyperbaric oxygen chamber to slow down aging. A photo of him inside the chamber circulated in tabloids, fueling the already raging fire of speculation about his personal life. Michael later denied the story, calling it a publicity stunt. But the damage was done. The public couldn't shake the image of him trying to hold on to his youth in unusual ways. This time in Michael's life marked a significant change. As his fame grew, so did his sense of isolation. He was now a global icon, but the price of that success was steep. The media's constant focus on his looks and personal life pushed him to retreat even more. Neverland Ranch became his haven, making him more mysterious. People started to wonder, why was he pulling away? Was he just trying to escape the pressures of fame? Or was there something more going on behind the scenes? The more private Michael became, the more the public speculated about him. Some thought he was trying to reinvent himself, escaping his past and creating a new identity. Others believed the weight of being the world's biggest star was too much for him to handle. Whatever the truth, Michael was becoming more distant, more secretive, and more complex to understand. As his appearance changed and his behavior became more mysterious, fans and the media were left to wonder, what was happening to Michael Jackson? Could these changes, his appearance, his retreat from the public, and the growing secrecy surrounding his life, be clues to his eventual disappearance? Was Michael preparing to leave the world long before anyone realized it? The day he died, on June 25, 2009, the world was stunned by the heartbreaking news that Michael Jackson, the king of pop, had passed away. Fans and music lovers everywhere were in disbelief. Michael had been rushed to the UCLA Medical Center in Los Angeles, but despite all efforts, doctors couldn't save him. He had suffered a cardiac arrest due to acute propofol intoxication, a drug generally used during surgeries to put patients to sleep. Michael had been taking it to help with his severe insomnia. At the time of his death, he was just weeks away from launching his highly anticipated This Is It tour, which was supposed to mark his big comeback after years out of the spotlight. The world was eagerly waiting, and so was Michael. But fate had a different plan. Michael's physician, Dr. Conrad Murray, was responsible for his health. On that fateful morning, according to Dr. Murray, he gave Michael a small dose of propofol after other sleep aids failed to work. Dr. Murray said he stepped out for a few minutes to use the bathroom, and when he returned, he found Michael unresponsive and not breathing. In a panic, he tried to perform CPR, desperately trying to revive him, but nothing seemed to work. When paramedics arrived at Michael's home, they found him in full cardiac arrest. They immediately began trying to bring him back to the house and later in the ambulance. But despite their efforts, Michael remained unresponsive. He was rushed to UCLA Medical Center, where doctors worked tirelessly for over an hour, doing everything they could to save him. Tragically, at 2:26 p.m., Michael Jackson was pronounced dead, and news of his passing spread around the world like wildfire. The autopsy later revealed that Michael had died from acute propofol intoxication. There were also other sedatives found in his system, making the situation even worse. The combination of these drugs turned out to be lethal. Dr. Conrad Murray, who had administered the drugs, was held responsible. In 2011, he was convicted of involuntary manslaughter for his role in Michael's death, forever linking his name to this tragic event. Michael's passing sent shockwaves across the globe. People from all walks of life, from die-hard fans to fellow musicians, came together to pay tribute to a man who had transformed the music industry. Michael wasn't just a pop star, he was a global icon. His music, dance moves, and influence reached far beyond entertainment. Memorials, tributes, and candlelight vigils appeared in cities everywhere as people tried to come to terms with losing such a monumental figure. Michael's death didn't just mark the end of a life, it marked the end of an era in music history. His influence was unmatched, and his absence left a void that still hasn't been filled. Though the world lost Michael Jackson that day, his legacy continues. His music, artistry, and unforgettable pop culture contributions still inspire generations. While his death remains a tragic moment, his impact on the world will never be forgotten. But in 2024, a new speculation has arrived that he is still alive. How? There are several reasons to believe he is alive and will return soon. Reasons to believe that he is still alive. On June the 25th, 2009, the world was left stunned when Michael Jackson, the king of pop, died suddenly at just 50 years old, reportedly from cardiac arrest. Fans around the globe were heartbroken, but for some, the details of his death didn't quite add up. Soon, people began questioning what happened, leading to conspiracy theories suggesting that Michael Jackson might still be alive. Over time, strange occurrences and unanswered questions surrounding his death fueled these suspicions. Michael's final rehearsal video for his This Is It tour was one of the first things that raised eyebrows. The footage shot just days before his death showed Michael performing with energy, dancing, and singing like he was in excellent health. Yet, around the same time, reports were circulating that Michael was frail, battling addiction, and in poor condition. The stark contrast between the lively rehearsal footage and the rumors about his health led some to wonder if the video had been edited or staged. Could this have been part of a plan for Michael to make his grand exit? Then there was the strange timing of the death announcement. TMZ was the first to report that Michael had died, doing so before any official confirmation from doctors or the hospital. This unusual timing raised questions. How did TMZ know about Michael's death before anyone else? Was it just a leaked tip, or was there something more behind it? The early report fueled speculation that something more significant might have happened behind the scenes. The autopsy report added another layer to the mystery. It recorded Michael's weight at 136 pounds, but people who had seen him at rehearsals, including his trainer, said he was much lighter, closer to 112 pounds. This discrepancy made some fans wonder if the autopsy report was accurate. Was it a simple error, or was there more to the story? Could the person who died have even been Michael? Another central point of suspicion was the 911 call made by Dr. Conrad Murray, Michael's physician. When Dr. Murray found Michael unresponsive, he waited over 20 minutes before calling for help. During that time, he claimed to be performing CPR, but many questioned why he didn't call 911 right away. What made this even more suspicious was that Murray initially said he performed CPR on Michael while he was on a bed, which is not adequate, as CPR requires a hard surface. This confusion and delay in getting emergency help raised suspicions about what happened that day. Was everything part of a larger plan? Then there was the footage of the ambulance leaving Michael's home. Many noticed the ambulance wasn't rushing away with sirens, as expected in a life-threatening situation. Instead, it calmly drove down the street with no urgency. For some, this lack of speed and urgency suggested that there might not have been an actual emergency at all, adding more fuel to the idea that Michael's death had been staged. Even Michael's funeral had its strange moments. Fans and the public expected an open casket, a chance to say a final goodbye to their beloved pop icon. But the casket remained closed, sparking even more speculation. Why was the casket closed? Was there something to hide? For some conspiracy theorists, this was further proof that Michael might not have been in the casket at all. As time passed, reports of Michael being spotted alive started to surface. From airports to shopping malls, sightings of someone who looked like Michael continued to pop up, further fueling the idea that he had faked his death and gone into hiding. Given the enormous pressure he had been under for years, some speculated that he might have found a way to escape the public eye for good. All these unanswered questions, the edited-looking rehearsal footage, the early TMZ report, the discrepancies in the autopsy, the delayed 911 call, the calm ambulance, the closed casket, and the sightings, led some fans to believe that Michael Jackson's death was not what it seemed. Could the king of pop still be alive, living a life far from the spotlight? While no concrete evidence proves these theories, they captivate fans and conspiracy theorists alike. The mystery surrounding Michael's death lingers, leaving many wondering if he pulled off one final legendary illusion. Michael Jackson's life was a mix of mystery, fame, and tragedy. But this latest twist has left everyone on edge. What does his message mean for the world if he's genuinely returned? Is there more to his story than we've ever known? The answers may be more chilling than we think. What do you believe? Has Michael Jackson reappeared, and if so, where has he been for the last 15 years? What do you think? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below.